believe me? Well, consider these facts.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? We're live. What's going on? Your Ben Joravsky show is just moments away. Shout out to Frank on the live stream chat. He did give you a Song of the Day request, Ben. And Ben, you should know that the Song of the Day is becoming a hit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it has become a hit here on the Ben Joravsky show. We had Frank is the first one on the live stream chat every day. He beats everybody every day, and he'll have a Song of the Day. Boom, right there. It's like 2 minutes after I post the live stream. And we had Jim weigh in on email yesterday going, man, Frank always gets the first Song of the Day. I want Song of the Day. So then we played Frank's, and then we got Steven on the live stream chat. Frank, how are you always first?
Yeah. By the way, Frank also sent me a really a great text of an article. I haven't read the article, but the headline was funny, and this particular article has to do with Brett Kavanaugh, indicating that he may vote against Donald Trump on obliterating Obamacare. And it was like, yeah, even this daffy argument by Trump is too much for Kavanaugh. Or pretty funny stuff. Kavanaugh, I can't go there. I can't. That's just too weird, Donnie. Sorry.
Frank, we really appreciate the sense of urgency you are creating for our program. Be first on the live stream chat and get your Song of the Day request in. All right, your Ben Joravsky show for Wednesday, November 11th is brought to you by the Chicago Reader. To find out what's happening in and around Chicago, go check out chicagoreader.com and subscribe to help out this program. And today's Ben Joravsky show is brought to you by the Chicago Federation of Labor. All right, I hear you just took that drink of water. Good. Your Song of the Day, Give Peace a Chance by John Lennon.
Oh, Lennon, man. All I'm saying. Come on, everybody. Yoko's in that song, too, by the way. Yoko, I'm going to do now Yoko. All I am saying is give peace a chance. And then he has this, like, rap thing that he does that I can never understand. You know, and he goes, Dennis is from Alton.
Wow. I always wondered what he said there. That's it, huh? I wasn't even born then. But
then there's another line that goes, they call him Dr. D. All I am saying is give. And then when I was a kid, oh my God, this is embarrassing.
Sound a lot like Bob Dylan there, by the way. All I'm saying is give.
Oh, no. Sometimes Dylan helps him out. All I'm saying is give peace a chance. When I was a kid, I would just like substitute the names. I was a really clever kid, D. Like, let's say my friend Ted. I go, all I am saying is give Ted a chance. I'm like, oh God, you're clever. Anyway.
Hey, can we hear that Yoko Ono one more time, by the way? The Ben Joravsky show starts now. It is Wednesday, November 11th, and live from my apartment and his attic, this is the Ben Joravsky show. Today on the program, legendary Chicago journalist Monroe Anderson. And now your host, Chicago Reader columnist Ben Joravsky.
Hello, everybody. Ben Joravsky here. We're calling this Get Out Wednesday, and here's why. If I sound a little loopier than usual today, it's because I woke up at 4 a.m, jolted from sleep by nightmares of, you guessed it, one Donald Donnie Trump. No! I thought I was through with nightmares of Donald Donnie, but they linger because he lingers. He won't get out. I don't mean literally get out of the White House right now, because technically speaking, he has until January 21st, even though we lost the election. You know how that goes. We had those 3 months of transition between the election and the inauguration. I mean, he won't promise to get out come January. He's still talking about staying around. He's still making up fables about voter fraud that, when uncovered, he promised will turn the vote around so that Biden will no longer be ahead and he will win. I think the nightmare question that jolted me from my sleep was a vision of Donnie Trump going back on the road. I think this was the last thought I had before I awoke, of Donald on the road in Pennsylvania or Georgia or Arizona or any state where votes are still being counted. And he would have these big, giant super spreader rallies to gin up support for his recount efforts, for his gin up support to flip things around, to take an election that was clearly won by Joe Biden and give it to him. Either arguing, we must stop the vote if I'm ahead, we must continue the vote if I'm behind, whatever it takes. And all these MAGA people show up in their red MAGA hats to sneeze on each other and pass the virus, because that's still very much going on, my friends. It's not as though the virus just said, well, now the election's over, we'll just go away. Glad that's resolved. Virus doesn't care about politics, people. So anyway, jolted awake at 4 a.m, couldn't get back to sleep. Got up, went downstairs, and did something really foolish, D. I started reading If It Bleeds, a collection of novellas by Stephen King, the terror writer. Hold on, brown line going by. Oh, was that Rom? Huh?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it said Rom in the brown line. Hi, everybody.
Oh, he's just pointing his finger at everybody.
He's giving the... Remember in the old days when Rom would ride the brown line every now and then, just to let you know I'm just a normal guy? Like anybody would believe that. He's scarier, actually, on the brown. He's scarier than a Stephen King novel. At 7 a.m, there's Rom on the train. Anyway, move on for Rom. Where was I? Oh, yes. I'm not sure which is more terrifying, Stephen King or Donnie Trump. I'd say Trump, because at least with Stephen King, you can say to yourself, it's only a novel. It's only a novel. If It Bleeds is a story about a deranged murderer who lurks within the body of a normal human being, and it is scary. So as you can see, it was not a particularly good idea to try to calm myself down from my Donald Trump nightmare by reading something that just fired up another nightmare. Hello. That's Norm, by the way. Hello. It's my dear friend Norm, who'll be coming on the show in a week to talk basketball. Hello, Benny J. Anyway, I went back to bed at 7 a.m, woke up a couple hours later. Hence the loopiness. Whoa, I'm really out of it, man. To discover a front page story in the New York Times. Man, I've got to give the New York Times credit. Election officials from all over the country, Republicans and Democrats alike, saying no fraud. I'll read you a little bit of it. Election officials nationwide find no fraud. That's the headline. From Kansas, the Office of Secretary of State, Scott Schwab, a Republican, quote, Kansas did not experience any widespread systemic issues with voter fraud, intimidation, irregularities, or voting problems, end of quote. From Michigan, the Office of Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, a Democrat, quote, we have not seen any evidence of fraud or foul play in the actual administration of the election. What we have seen is that it was smooth, transparent, secure, and accurate. From Washington, Secretary of State Kim Wyman, a Republican, quote, it's just throwing grass at the fence at this point. See what sticks. And from Ohio, another Republican, Secretary of State Frank LaRose, quote, there's a great human capacity for inventing things that aren't true about elections. The conspiracy theories and rumors and all these things run rampant. That is well put. I got to tell you, folks, it is a natural thing. And when you lose, it's just a natural condition. Like it's the inability to accept the loss, and you want to blame somebody else. I'm still blaming the referees from a basketball game the Bulls lost in 1994. So I understand. I understand when it hurts, you want to blame someone else. But the Republican Party is deranged at this point. Next to this article in the New York Times, in which all these election officials from the Republican and Democratic Party from all over the country saying there's no fraud, is an article about Trump marshaling federal power to oppose his election to defeat, and includes this chestnut, quote, in the latest sign of defiance, the president's senior cabinet secretary indicated on Tuesday that he did not expect Trump to hand over power to Biden after legal challenges to the vote. Quote, there will be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said. Secretary of State. He's like the chief diplomat in the country. He's supposed to be like the one who's rational. He's either deluded or they're gearing up for a coup. Either way, it looks like it's going to be a long while before he finally gets out. Did that for you, D.
Yeah!
Great show today, everybody.
Get him out of here!
Monroe Anderson will be here. And I talked to him briefly today. He's not worried. He's just down. He's going. No, he's been predicting this for a long time. And he's about ready to take a victory lap. Interesting. He said, nope, don't worry, Ben. He has other things on his mind that are worrying him. Not that he gets up at 4 in the morning. So, Monroe, we're here to be talking politics. Before we do that, the young man from Alton, the man that Mike Pompeo fondly calls Dr. D, with the news.
I've never met that guy in my life. How's it going, everybody? Let's find out what's happening in Chicago and or Illinois this afternoon.
Your 2020 Illinois general election results.
Good God, it's still won't end. Illinois' 14th congressional district race lives on for a 7th day. But with more mail ballots counted Tuesday, the Democratic incumbent Lauren Underwood increased her lead over Republican Jim the Milkman Oberweis to 3,524 votes. The most up-to-date Associated Press numbers I could find gives Underwood 50.4% to Oberweis with 49.6%. In raw numbers, as of Tuesday afternoon, Underwood had 198,200 votes to Oberweis's 194,676 votes. Most of the latest counts came from ballots in the parts of Lake and McHenry counties in the district. There are an estimated 12,000 ballots in the district still to be counted. And, Ben, we may be wearing our winter boots by the time this thing is said and done, because according to the Milkman and the Oberweis campaign, they're anticipating a request for a recount and have been making fundraising appeals to gather cash for the legal challenge.
Oh, there's a big surprise. Republicans shaking down their donors. By the way, for some reason, I get them. I'm getting overtures from Oberweis. I wouldn't give you a nickel, Oberweis. If you were the last candidate in America, you were despicable. That racist campaign you ran, shame, 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 shame on you, Oberweis, except you have no shame. Guy's been running for 1 million offices over the last year. And now finally he just attached himself to Donald Trump's coattails, went up to Kenosha, trying to blame Lauren Underwood for something she had absolutely nothing to do with you. Man, voters in the 14th Congressional District, I know I'm not supposed to voter shame, D, I know. But shame, shame on you. Yeah, you're going to lose, Oberweis. Votes are coming in. It's something we have. This is something unique, Oberweis. You probably, I'm surprised you don't know about it. It's called counting the votes. Ever heard of it? James Oberweis thinks, that he could pull a Donald Trump and proclaim victory just because of the election day vote, which is the first vote they count. Pretty bizarre system we have. But anyway. He thinks he's just going to proclaim victory right there and then, and that's just going to hold? No, he's a disgrace. And I'm getting a little enjoyment, D, out of watching the votes just like trickle in, little grains of sand. And that, I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into this. You help me out here. Help me out here, D. I think I ran this by. Tell me what you think. Maybe I'm being paranoid, D. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm being paranoid. Let's just read the Sun-Times headline on this. I got the feeling the Tribune's kind of rooting for Overwatch. Am I being paranoid, D? If I'm being paranoid, tell me yes, and then I'll stop being paranoid, all right? Here's the Sun-Times headline. Lynn Sweet, a bureau chief. Underwood now leads Oberweis by 3,500 plus votes as count continues. That's pretty definitive. She's up by 3,500 votes, right? That's Then we get to
pretty
the
definitive. Yeah, pretty definitive. Pretty definitive.
Okay, all right. Here's the Tribune's headline. Underwood's lead over.
Go on.
Underwood's lead over Oberweis widened slightly. What? 3,500 is not good enough for you, Tribune? Just widened slightly. Am I paranoid? Am I heading into Alex Jones country, D, here? Do I detect that the Tribune just does not want to acknowledge that their beloved James Oberweis is going to lose to Lauren Underwood? Am I paranoid, D? Help me out here. I need help.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the documents. There's fluoride in that ice cream. Fluoride in that ice cream. We'll be right back.
What about the neighbor? I always thought, don't forget the neighbor.
I'm going to eat my neighbor's ass.
Alex Jones. Come on, Tribune. Your boy's down 3,500 votes. He's going down. So maybe I should praise the voters of the 14th Congressional District. But by the way, we didn't talk about this yesterday, D. Oh my God, it wasn't in our pre-show meeting or anything. Sherry Bustos, the congresswoman from the 19th Congressional, I think it is stepping down as chair of the Democratic Party's Congressional, what is it? I always get this mixed up because of my dyslexia, but the committee that oversees congressional elections. She was a very controversial figure. We had a number of people who came on the show. God, it seems like ancient times, but we were back in the studio that were upset with her declaration that if you were a consultant working for a challenger to an incumbent congressperson, this is Nancy Pelosi. She was following Nancy. Now, I cannot ignore Nancy, my beloved Nancy Pelosi's role in all this. But that if you were a consultant working for a challenger, so for instance, if you were working for Marie Newman over against Dino Danny, they would not hire you. Maybe they put that rule in it was like, we will not hire you. You will never work for us. Like what is it? Like a blacklist or something. I thought it was ridiculous, absurd, and overkill. Particularly in a case like Marie Newman versus Dan Lipinski, you would figure even Nancy Pelosi would be at least quietly rooting for Marie Newman. Marie Newman was victorious, by the way. So, yeah, maybe it finally caught up to her. She barely won. Sherry Bustos did. She did win. She won. I think her numbers are going up too as the mail-in comes in. So I think she'll probably get over 52% of the vote. But yeah, we didn't mention this. She's stepping down. I don't know who's going to replace her. And this is part of a ongoing struggle in the Democratic Party. We're probably going to be talking about this, for the next couple of months. I've been watching this, like the AOC bunch in the Democratic Party versus some more moderate, or at each other's throats, arguing over who is responsible for the fact that Dems did not pick up more seats in this last go around. Actually, they lost seats. So Sherry Bustos steps down. I don't know who's going to replace her. I don't know what tactics are going to be used. These are debates I'm having myself, D, with various Democratic friends of mine. My lefty friends are all saying, we got to go harder to the left, got to be more Bernie-like. And then my moderate friends are telling me, Ben, you're so unrealistic. These issues are unpopular in our districts.
Hippie.
I know, they call me. And D, I don't know what to do. I know one thing, though. That was a really dumb idea to discourage challengers by punishing consultants who go to work for challengers. I think it's healthy for the party to cultivate challengers like this and to cultivate different, strategists. This could be the best and brightest minds that Democrats have coming up, and you're going to punish them. So it just, I don't know, didn't make sense. Very kind of like Trump-like move. That's the kind of thing Trump, you're fired.
So wait, you're saying it's a bye-bye Bustos?
Yes. Wow. We didn't see what we can do even without pre-show planning. We didn't even go over that. Yeah, but I was related because, Lauren Underwood is sort of beating the trend. A lot of moderates who won in 2018 were lost this time around, largely because Donnie brought out MAGA. I don't think the lefties really have come to appreciate yet what a force Donald Trump is. Who was I talking about this with, D? I mean, I was giving praise to Donald Trump the other day. It was kind of like faint praise because he's a lunatic, but that close where for 2 weeks he did rallies every day, 5 rallies in some days, running from one state to the other. That rallied MAGA.
Well, you did talk to my Uncle Eldon the other day. That was probably him, right?
Oh, yeah, it's Uncle Eldon. What does he sound like again, D?
Come on now, little Denny.
Sounds a little like DB, Darren Bailey. So anyway, the Democrats are trying to figure all this stuff out, but Lauren Underwood, going back to your story here, D, I think fingers crossed she's going to prevail, and she's going to dodge this Oberweis bullet, and I think come January she will be back in Congress as the Congresswoman from the 14th Congressional, and Oberweis will be packing ice cream. I bet he's never packed ice cream in his life. Did I ever tell you I packed ice cream back in the day? I had a job packing ice cream. Take the ice cream, scoop it, put it in a little pints.
Ladies and gentlemen, do not eat that ice cream. The milk's gone bad. We have the documents. Won't eat my neighbor's ass. We'll be right back.
Live stream chat. Help us out here. When do you think this Oberweis Underwood race is all said and done? Place your bets now on the live stream chat, and we'll read your predictions. Also, feel free to weigh in via email. You can send us an email, BennyJShow@gmail.com. You can reach out to us on social media at BennyJShow, BENNY, the letter J Show. Shout out to Pat Whalen. And you can call us 708-658-4788. Several ways to reach us. What?
Did you say shout out to Pat Whalen?
Yeah.
Is he on the live stream right now?
No, I was, talking about our social media. He helps us out on social media.
Can I
subtle shout out there?
Give a little Pat Whalen update?
All right, the subtlety is gone, but go ahead.
Pat Whalen, good friend of this show, is a star. He was an actor.
Oh, yeah, yeah. What up, Pat? That's awesome.
Dennis was the one who told me this. I'd seen the commercial, but I didn't realize it was Pat Whalen. Or maybe I saw a commercial where it wasn't. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, boy, how about here's a little backstory, everybody. Our good friend Pat Whalen. He's been on the show several times. He's a comedian. He's an actor. He does several projects. A great friend of the show. He was on a FanDuel commercial. Yeah, these recent commercials where regular guys are hanging out in their house and a football player comes and tackles them. Well, a football player tackled our good friend Pat Whalen, and Pat Whalen got paid for it.
Yeah, he got paid. I hope he got paid. Yeah. Jamie Harrison is the football player. So I was always focused on Jamie Harrison, who's a behemoth football player for, as Dennis knows, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And in the commercial, Harrison is running after Pat Whalen. Pat does this great thing. He goes, "What? Wait?" I love that. I've been doing it ever since. Like just people say something. "Hey, Ben, how you doing?" "What? Wait?" That's my Pat Whalen imitation. "What? Wait?" And then here comes Jamie Harrison.
Pat Whalen imitation.
Do your Pat Whalen imitation of when you call Pat Whalen. Go ahead.
He is on the live stream chat. What's up, Pat? Yeah, you call. Hi, Pat Whalen here. I am not available.
By the way, I've noticed something since Pat Whalen did that national spot. It's harder to get a hold of. You notice that?
Stop it! No, he's not.
No, now when I called the other day, this is what it came. I'm Pat Whalen's assistant. Patrick is very busy doing another national spot. He doesn't have time to call you back. No, seriously, Pat Whalen, congratulations. That's really great. Pat Whalen in the commercial with Jamie Harrison. So anyway,
Pat Whalen says hi on the live stream chat, by the way.
Tell him I said hi right back.
Oh, all right.
Anyway, that was our Pat Whalen update. for the day. What else you got there, D?
All right. Yesterday, before we ended the show, we had breaking news. The Illinois Supreme Court unanimously chose a replacement for Justice Thomas Kilbride, a replacement later to be replaced come the next election in 2 years. Justice Robert L. Carter of the 3rd District Appellate Court has been selected to join the Illinois Supreme Court next month. He's of the Democratic persuasion, and that is exactly why Illinois Republicans are furious at the moment about the decision. But seriously, guys, how did you not see this coming? Here's a quote from Joe Zam, or Joe Zam, who led the unorthodox move to unseat Kilbride with his appropriately titled Vote No for Kilbride Committee. Zam, or Zam, said, quote, "This is an outrageous decision. The voters made clear they did not want politics as usual on the Supreme Court as they voted an end to the 4-3 Democrat stranglehold on blocking important issues like fair maps, pension reform, lawsuit reform, and term limits." Zahn said 3 Republican justices, quote, "should have voted no and left the seat unfilled until the next election." And we have one more quote here. This is from former Republican 3rd District Appellate Court Judge Kent Slater. Kent Slater said that Carter had been Kilbride's choice to hold an appointed seat on the appellate for several years, saying, quote, "It's like the Supreme Court's patronage." Once again, seriously, Illinois Republicans, how did you not see this coming? Ben Joravsky, your thoughts.
All right. Let me just say this. Oh, boo-hoo-hoo, Republicans. Oh, sob, 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 Republicans. What a bunch of whining baby hypocrites, Republicans. Hey, Zom, or whatever your name is. Why aren't you calling on Donald Trump to acknowledge the election? Huh, Zom? Why are you chastising Mike Pompeo for saying that there's going to be a smooth transition to a Trump second term, even though Trump lost? Huh? Why do you ignore what's right in front of your face, which is a defiance of the will of the people for the highest office in the land, but focus instead on the all-important Supreme Court seat in the 3rd District? Huh? Why do you just close your eyes? This is just a pattern for the last 4 years. Close your eyes to the corruption of Donald Trump. And you're like eyes wide open at anything remotely resembling corruption coming from the Democrats. You know, why is it that Republicans in the state of Illinois think that the greatest villain in the history of politics, or at least in the 21st century, is Michael Joseph Madigan? Has Madigan ever been accused of rape? No, but Donald Trump has. Has Madigan ever been accused of conspiring with a foreign country to dig up dirt on his rival? No, but Donald Trump has. Has Michael Joseph Madigan ordered his aides to defy subpoenas from investigators looking into his malfeasance? No, but Donald Trump has. Has Michael Madigan just fired people to bow down to him every day and say, "Oh, Buana, you're the greatest power in the world"? No, but Donald Trump has. But you see nothing. You're Sergeant Schultz when it comes to Donald. I see nothing. Now you're all outraged. Oh, I'm outraged. I'm outraged because in the all-important seat.
Oh, sound like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. Oh, I'm outraged.
I'm outraged. Oh, I'm a Republican in Illinois, and I'm outraged. Tribune's all over this one. We're outraged. They covered this. They quote this other guy, James Nolan, who chaired a political committee that opposed Kilbride, said that Carter's appointment represents a continuation of the Kilbride legacy that voters rejected at the polls. Man, where are you, Nolan? On Donnie. Oh, well, that's kind of nervous, Ben. No, what a bunch of cowards you are, Republicans. Only speak out on things that you know are safe politically. You know, won't dare to criticize Donald Trump any step of the way. Supreme Court voted 6-0 to appoint Carter. That meant the Republicans on the court joined with the Democrats. And it's only for 2 years. And by the way, they exposed their little hand. And Jim Coogan said it on Saturday. They used Madigan to get voters to reject Kilbride when the real effort, when their real target is to go after laws that enable consumers to punish corporations that hurt consumers. Lawsuit reform. What a joke. When you put the word reform with lawsuit reform, all that does is mean passing laws, ladies and gentlemen, that make it harder for you to sue someone who sells you a defective product. Or maybe someone who operates, this person has a heart issue. I'll take out his lung. Oh, well, mistakes happen. Lawsuit reform. Fair maps. What a joke. Fair maps. That's that initiative in the state of Illinois, fair. You know, that's why one of my many problems with the fair tax, D. Why are you using fair? The notion of fair in Illinois. Good God, it's never fair. Voters don't even believe in fair anymore. Fair maps. So right now, the Democrats have an advantage. Here's a good idea. Let's have the Democrats willingly, voluntarily give up the advantage they have to in redrawing districts, so the Republicans can elect more Republicans and pass laws that hurt consumers. There's a great idea.
Well, Ben, call me crazy here, but it sounds like you like this Justice Robert Carter.
Listen, it's not even about Carter with me. It's about the utter hypocrisy of the Republicans. And it's part of the reason why it's so hard to believe that Joe Biden can actually stitch together a bipartisan, coalition? When I look at something like this, I would be like, okay, I'd be mildly, probably not, but mildly sympathetic to the Republicans on this issue if I saw any sign that any one of these Republicans was going to ask Donald Trump to respect the process, the electoral process that he's facing. So what a bunch of Harper Valley PTA hypocrites. That's a song from the 60s that, of course, nobody knows.
Oh.
But, so Carter, he must be good. He must be okay if the Republicans don't like him. So he's 74 years old. I don't know if he's going to run in 20. By the way, Republicans, you got the election of 2022. All right, I guess that's what they're doing, D. They're gearing up their voters to be outraged. I'm outraged. Those Democrats. So, yeah, I guess I like Carter. He can't be that bad if he gets Republicans so upset at him. Although I like to point out, he got 3 Republican judges to sign on him. Remember there was that discussion? Keith Kelleher was on the show. Keith Kelleher. That's my Keith Kelleher imitation. Keith Kelleher. Keith knows a lot, man. Keith knows his politics, right? SEIU, a retired union leader. But he talked about, he was a little, concerned. I can't help it when I'm like, I start going into my Keith Kelleher imitation. But he was concerned that the Republicans would not, on the Supreme Court, would not work with the Democrats, but 6-0. Wow. So those Republicans are something else, D.
Yeah, we got to get Keith. We got to get Keith Kelleher back on the program, guys. Go check out our interview with Keith Kelleher. I mean, it was before the election, but there was some great stuff in there. Keith Kelleher available at wherever you download your favorite podcast on the Chicago Reader website. All right, moving on. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker was busy this Veterans Day morning.
Don't believe me? Well, consider these facts.
At 10 a.m., he was at the new Chicago Veterans Home. And at 2:30, he'll more than likely be giving his daily COVID-19 update at the Thompson Center. A quick recap of Tuesday's pandemic press briefing. Guys, wasn't good. Illinois reported another record-breaking total of 12,623 new cases of COVID-19 on Tuesday. Governor Pritzker said, quote, "These numbers are awful. Even where things are not as awful, things are still bad. We need to gird ourselves for winter because it's not over yet. We have potentially months of the fight ahead of us. Ben, how's that attic looking these days?
I got to clean it up, number one, D. I know I keep saying that, but it's really messy up here. That's this weekend, I swear, okay? Maybe I should have done that this morning.
You're going to be there for a while, man. You may as well clean it up. You know what I mean?
I probably should have done that this morning instead of reading the Stephen King novel. Although it's good stuff, though. It's really good. No, this is serious. And, I was thinking about this a lot. One of the other things I did about this morning was do some reading in the New York Times about the pandemic throughout the country. El Paso, Texas. I mean, they're like setting up makeshift hospital units in the parking lots of hospital. Staten Island, New York, one of the boroughs in New York City, has got the biggest outbreak in that area. It's actually a Republican enclave in New York. People may not realize this, but New York City, which is a traditionally Democratic city, there's a Republican area, Staten, sort of like their MAGA country, like our Northwest Side, 41st Ward, loves Donnie. It's just like, it seems like nobody's in charge. And I give Pritzker credit for trying to focus people's attention on this. As we know, I've been praising Pritzker a lot for how he's tried to handle this pandemic. My attitude about Lori Lightfoot, a little mixed to Lori Lightfoot. But Donald Trump, he's just like, it's like, he's like, well, I'm done with, he still wants to be president, but he's declared the COVID over in some weird ways. It's like, well, remember at the end of those rallies, at the end, he was making fun of it. COVID, COVID, COVID. It's all they say. But he's hacking on each other. Meanwhile, it's just like spiking. So I get the feeling, and that's part of the issue in the transition between Trump and Biden. I mean, Trump won't acknowledge that Biden is the president-elect, so he won't work with him in any way on the issues that the country's facing, including the pandemic. So they're just ignoring it. Biden says he wants to, attack it and mandatory mask laws, maybe. But there's just no coordination between the incoming and the outgoing administrations on this issue. So it's just like we just abandoned it. Very bizarre. And then you have individual governors like Pritzker here, the governor in Texas, sort of trying to issue their own ultimatums and their own rulings. So, you're right. I'm going to be in this attic for a while. You're going to be in your apartment for a while. It's a good thing. Let's tip our hat to Google Meet.
Yeah, no kidding.
It saved our show, that's for sure. I got to say something nice about Google every now and then. It's absolutely frightening. And Donald Trump, half the country just doesn't believe in wearing masks. All of us are wrestling with the consequences of like restaurants closing, businesses really hurt. I mean, I don't see any way out. I don't want to be completely depressed on this one, T, but every day we do an update. It's just like getting worse. Half the country doesn't care. President ignoring it. And then you have Pritzker trying to deal with it. And half the state is like, Pritzker sucks. Okay, well, that's the reward. Maybe Pritzker, you should just say, whatever, and just ignore it.
Okay, don't listen to Ben on that. Don't say just whatever and ignore it, please.
Just go. What if Pritzker just woke up one day and did a Trump? Go, COVID, COVID, COVID. I'm sick of this.
It's over. I'm done. Sick of it.
Yeah, mask, do whatever you want. Do you think MAGA would take down the Pritzker sucks signs? Open the bars, open the restaurants, open the bowling alleys, open the movies. I don't care. Yeah, whatever. I'm horseback riding. I actually don't think Pritzker horsebacks ride. I think his family members do, but whatever, you get the point.
Just, play a little Jimmy Buffett on one of those press briefings walking in. Oh, then they'll warm up to you, pal.
That's the problem. By the way, I reached out to Bob Diber, He's coming on the show. Bob Dabby, the downstate Democrat, gives us insights. Ran for governor in 2018. Gives us insights on what Democrats can do to win over voters downstate. Not that anybody listens to anything any of us say, but be looking forward to that interview. But he was the one who he ducked and dodged a little bit on that Jimmy Buffett question, Jimmy Buffett versus Bruce Springsteen. But maybe that's the issue. Maybe that's the thing.
Well, now he's the guy trying to bring Illinois together, all right? The North and the South. He can't be trashing Bruce Springsteen, you know? He's trying to bring us all together.
Yes, correct. But he says nice things about Jimmy Buffett. So what I'm saying, JB, is maybe you should bring someone who's from downstate into your inner circle, give you advice on how to deal with people downstate.
That is correct.
I know a certain Dr. D, and the D stands for downstate. And he's a doctor in downstateology, okay? And, you know, he's always looking to pick up a little extra change here and there, help pay those bills.
Yeah, come on. JB, let's get that washers tournament going. Come on, pal.
See what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Just a suggestion, D. Maybe JB just said, to hell with it. I'm like Donald Trump. COVID.
All right. Now, also due to this damn dirty coronavirus, Illinois' upcoming veto session before and after the Thanksgiving holiday, I mean, I guess you could say it's been vetoed. The Illinois Senate and Illinois House both had been set to meet for 3 days next week and 3 more in early December to debate and vote on whatever issues they choose. However, Illinois Senator President Don Harmon and House Speaker Michael Joseph Madigan deemed it was unsafe to bring 177 state lawmakers and their staffs to Springfield at this time. Smart move, boys. Here's the quote from Don Harmon, quote, "This is not the time to physically bring together hundreds of people from all around the state. Given what's happening, it was an obvious decision. It's not safe or responsible to have a legislative session under these circumstances." Governor Pritzker also expressed disappointment with the decision on Tuesday and said he still hopes to meet with the 4 legislative leaders soon to discuss, well, you know what he wants to discuss, the defeat of his proposed graduated income tax in last week's election.
Don't believe me? Well, consider these facts.
Okay, we believe you. We believe you. Remember, guys, it was last week when Pritzker said about the rejection of the fair tax. There will be cuts, and they will be painful. Now, here's the quote, very dark quote.
I'm sorry.
Now, here's the quote from Pritzker on the vetoed veto session. Quote, "We have so much work to do in Springfield. There's no doubt, and I guess I know why people are concerned about gathering. I'm discouraging gathering across the state, but I must say it would be disappointing. We just have so many things we need to accomplish with regard to the budget in particular. We have major efforts underway that will require the legislature's engagement."
Okay. This is something I don't understand. Maybe you can help me, D. Why don't they just do virtual meetings?
Right? That's what I was waiting for in the story. Like, okay, so when's the big veto Zoom going down?
I mean, to quote my dear friend Norm, hello. Yeah, I don't know. You know, it's funny, D. People always ask me questions. Like I'm supposed to know everything. And this is like one of the questions. So, Ben, why don't they have virtual meetings? I'm like, how the hell do I know? I mean, the city council had it. It's pretty embarrassing when the Chicago City Council state legislature.
Well, I know a certain someone in that story I read is not a big fan of Zoom. Old Madigan, right? Yeah, twist his arm to do this. I don't want to do Zoom. Get out.
Oh, Michael, you're blaming him again. But...
Zoom out of my face.
Yeah, well, what's with Harmon? He's young guys. And Harmon's younger than I am. He probably knows how to use it. He probably knows how to do a screenshot. Ben, let me show you here. You push these 2 buttons at the same. That's how you do a screenshot. I bet you Don Harmon knows how to do a screenshot. But I don't understand why the city council, Chicago City Council, which is not known as the most enlightened branch of government, they're able to figure out virtual meetings. So I don't get this. But, people are always like, Ben, why this? Why that? I have no idea. Maybe Madigan has an aversion. There's always like with Madigan, everybody's always trying to figure out what's his real angle. Why is he really now? Like there's this whole underground D, which hasn't really. I don't know if we brought it on the show yet. People murmuring about why Madigan really didn't want the fair tax to pass. And it's like going back to my favorite analogy, the Queen's Gambit, the chess game. He's the master chess player, and he's always moving his pieces such a way that 10 moves down, you'll go, oh my God, that's what he was up to. He figured it out. As opposed to, I'm not sticking my neck out for a tax increase. I may have been born at night, but it wasn't last night.
Oh, we're looking online here. Shout out to, I believe this is Pat Whalen who sent me a text message here. He says here, I asked folks in the know about this. They never passed a law allowing them to legislate via Zoom, so they have to meet in person to pass a law allowing them to not meet in person. No need to credit me, said the person.
I don't know. I don't believe that. I just don't believe it. They had a Zoom meeting don't you remember? Big fella didn't wear his mask. We discussed it. Took him forever. DB, boy, it seems like ancient history. Darren Bailey, pride and joy of downstate Clay County, wouldn't wear his mask to the meeting, and Michael Madigan kicked him out. Chris Welch, I can remember the details, from the western suburbs, made a motion to have him removed, and he left. And then the next day he came in wearing a mask, and he looked, he was a good-looking fella with that mask. So I don't know why he didn't wear it in the first place. So I don't know why. It seems like the kind of thing they could work around somehow or other, D. I just got a feeling.
Yeah, I can picture Madigan now. All right, send me a zippy. I'll do it. No, it's called Zoom, speaker. Zoom, zippy, whatever. Just screw it. I'm writing a letter.
Don't interrupt me. I'm eating an apple. Michael Joseph Madigan, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, the latest recreational cannabis sales numbers are in, and yep, Illinois still really likes getting high. The following comes from the Chicago Sun-Times and Tommy Two Joints Shuba. Monthly cannabis sales in Illinois topped $100 million for the first time in October. That huge haul was largely due to the record $75 million in recreational marijuana sales tallied last month, and this is according to the Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulation. Sales of medical pot products accounted for another $33 million. October's total sales trumped the previous high set a month earlier when over $99 million in cannabis was sold throughout Illinois. In the first 10 months since cannabis was fully legalized, dispensaries across the state have sold over $500 million worth of recreational weed and roughly $300 million in medical pot.
Yes, and there's no truth in the rumor that 10 million of that 100 million was racked up by one Dr. D. Just kidding there, Dr. D. Yeah, but there's a big surprise. People in Illinois love reefer. Wow. Don't get me started on this one, ladies and gentlemen. $100 million racked up in 1 month. I don't know, D, how long before... This is one of our favorite conversations. How long before the legal market undercuts completely the illegal market? I say you must got to double that 100 million if you really want to get an accurate total of how much people spent buying, cannabis in the month of October, because you have to add the illegal market. What's your thoughts? How long before illegal is overwhelmed by legal?
What, are you asking me?
Yeah, you're you're not my expert, but you know a thing or two.
Never. I say it never happens.
You say there'll always be an illegal market.
Yeah.
I just don't know if at some point the legal market will be making more money than the illegal market.
Until there's an Aldi version of these pot shops, there will always be, I guess, a black market for it.
Well, put an all the discount joints, discount reefer. Come on down.
Buy one bong, get the other half off. Like as long as there's no place like that going on, yeah, that'll still be around. Absolutely.
Yeah. By the way, I just love it. What a bunch of frauds we are as people. All these years. Oh, it's terrible. It's dangerous. It's not like when you were a child, Ben. When you were a teenager, it's different. As soon as it's legal, everybody's smoking. Bunch of frauds and hypocrites and cowards you are. Illinoisans, or whatever you are, Illinoisans. God. How about all those politicians? Oh, Ben, this is a very difficult, challenging topic. I have to do investigation into this and think about it, whether I should support legalization. I'm going to have somebody look at into it. Oh, by the way, over the weekend, you want to come over and get high? So, yeah, $100 million. That's just the legal end. I'd say, what do you figure, D? $200 million illegal? You think it's double? I mean, what's your sense of it? Is twice as many people buying their reefer from illegal markets as legal markets? What do you think?
You asking me? What, like JB Pritzker?
No, more like a JB Joint. Pat Whalen. I don't know. Maybe he knows.
Another recreational reefer news written by Mr. Two Joints. Legislators in Springfield are hashing out a plan. See what you did there? Hashing out.
Oh, my God. Tommy, did you come up with that? Did you come up with that joke?
Legislators in Springfield are hashing out a plan that one lawmaker says could potentially double the number of new marijuana shops as the state grapples with an ongoing licensing imbroglio that's hampered the governor's pro-pot agenda. A lottery to determine the winners of the next wave of 75 licenses has been delayed indefinitely after a string of lawsuits were filed in the wake of the announcement that just 21 groups qualified in September, though Governor J.B. Pritzker later created a process to give the more than 900 losing applicants another shot. That plan has also prompted legal action from 3 of the finalists. State Representative LaShawn Ford is now pushing a legislative fix that would unleash 75 additional dispensary licenses, meaning there could eventually be a total of 150 new licenses. Those groups that didn't make the cut for lottery would automatically be included in the new application process without having to pay new fees. On Tuesday, a day after Ford and other members of a cannabis working group met with members of Pritzker's team, the representative claimed new legislation could, quote, cure some of the faults of the current law and potentially eliminate some of the lawsuits.
All right, LaShawn Ford, good idea. LaShawn Ford was a guest on our show. Dave, remember he ran for mayor? LaShawn Ford was on the show, state representative from the West Side. I also saw Kelly Cassidy was suggesting they increase it. KC, Rogers Park state rep. Good idea. That falls under the category of duh. Good idea. Man, they made a mess out of that unveiling. And by the way, Vincent Norman will be our guest on the second part of today's show. And Vincent Norman is the owner of the Marijuana Hall of Fame, and he's one of the applicants who was not successful in making the lottery.
Yeah, last time we spoke with him, he seemed a little bothered by that. I wonder how he's going to be now.
Well, we'll be mostly talking about Veterans Day. Vincent's also a Marine vet, Semper Fi. So we'll have a lot of topics we'll be discussing with Vincent. We'll probably get in a little reefer talk with him as well, see what he thinks about increasing the number of licenses. It seems like a pretty good solution to me. Oh, wow. So a handful of people are going to have to make less money because they're going to spread it around a little bit. I don't know. Makes sense to me. And maybe, I don't know, prices will fall. Hey, prices will fall. If prices fall, D, then that will undercut the illegal market. And so maybe we will get Aldi style reefer, that, hey, quick, come get your joints. Look, one joint, help me out here, D. How is this one joint cost? Help me out here. Just what you've heard, not what you know, because, of course, you know nothing about this. But, what if, just...
I have no clue. One joint in 2020, I don't know, like $15 maybe?
Damn.
Right?
It costs that much?
I don't know. I don't know. You just asked me. Who do I look like? Tom Schuba?
Tommy would know. Oh, Ben, well, it depends where you're buying it. If it's in Homewood, it's this, it's that. I thought you were going to say, who do I look like? Tommy Chong. I'm like,
I mean, like if it's from one of those stores, like $15, but it's from the dude who lives down the hall, like, I don't know, $7.
okay, there we go. That's all I needed to know. Okay? Not it didn't take that much. Okay, you got it right. You got the right answer. God damn. It's gone up since the 70s. Just saying. I just don't recall $7 would have been outrageous.
Oh, hey, President Trump has returned on our live stream chat. You remember that last week?
Oh, my goodness. Good to have you back.
He says the potheads are destroying America on the live stream chat. Yeah, and he says it's not over. We're still counting my votes.
By the way, I've said this. I've said this before. I wish there was some kind of place I could lay my bet on this one. Donald Trump would be for federal legalization of marijuana before Joe Biden. Donald Trump at some point go, what the hell? And then, by the way, whoever President Trump is would do a complete flip. Typical Republican. Yeah, finally, federal legalization. Yeah, those Republicans, whatever Johnny tells them. So I think that's a good idea. You know, either that or just, all these rich companies that figure somehow, to quote Donald Trump, rigged the system to get more applications in the lottery, or to get more spots in the lottery. It's not right, D. It's not right.
All right. Well, that's our local news, guys. We'd love to hear from you. Reach out to the Ben Joravsky Show. Several ways you can do it. At Benny J Show, BENNY, the letter J, Show on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can always send us an email, bennyjshow@gmail.com. In fact, I'm going to check our email here shortly. And you can call us, 708-658-4788. The number again. 708-658-4788. Reach out to the Ben Joravsky Show. Tell us what's on your mind, and we would love to hear from you.
All right, before we take a break and bring Monroe on, I just have to give a shout out to our good friend Maureen O'Donnell. She's the best obituary writer in the world for my beloved Bright One, the Chicago Sun-Times. So she wrote a story today, obituary of a gentleman who recently died. He was 81 years old. I'm probably going to mention this to Monroe at some point. Monroe and I are probably the only people old enough to remember this, but Joe Riley was his name. And Joe Riley was a beat reporter for the Chicago Sun-Times back in 1969, and he just was randomly assigned to go look into the story about the police assassination of Fred Hampton and Mark Clark, Black Panther leaders on the West Side. And D, I know it seems like I'm beating up on the Tribune, but you really have to understand the Tribune's a lot better today than it was back in 1969, really in the 70s and the 80s. But it was just an outrageous right-wing operation. That was Donald Trump before Donald Trump. I was always trying to get white people to be really scared of black people and try to demonize the left. It was really, Trump learned a thing or two from those old Tribune stories. But here's the lead from Maureen O'Donnell. When a tipster urged the Chicago Sun-Times to investigate the 69 police raid in which Black Panther leaders Fred Hampton and Mark Clark were gunned down, reporter Joe Riley was assigned to check it out. He found out that the photos of, quote, bullet holes in their West Side apartment suggesting that the men had fired police actually were nail heads. I remember this revelation by my beloved Bright. This is why people go, Ben, why do you like the Bright One so much? Because it freaking was one of the only newspapers that took a stand back then in the Daily News. The American, and the Today, Chicago Today, and the Tribune right-wing rags. Here we go. Here, after the Chicago Tribune printed a police photo purporting to show the bullet holes in the raid. Oh, the Tribune. They were nail heads. Oh, these are bullet holes. Even I would know the difference. I don't even like guns or nails. After the Chicago Tribune printed a police photo purporting to show the bullet holes in the raid, Sun-Times editor Jim Hogue got a tip that the story was dubious. Jim Hogue, by the way, D, I actually, Jim Hogue looked like Brad Pitt. You know, it's so funny. Most newspaper people that you see today are kind of disheveled looking. And, well, I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, come on.
You know what I'm saying? You worked there. We were with me at the, except for Romana. You know, the guys, all right? A newspaper reporter, you know, you got to like.
Everybody looked great, all right? I mean, there's the guy with his shirt half tucked in, and then the one guy with his collar all weird. And there's the guy with soup stains on his shirt. But hey, they all looked great.
All right, I know I'm the last person in the world who should be making fun of the way other men are dressed, but I would go into the bright one and go, yeah, I'm looking pretty good today, you know? At least my shirt doesn't have a tomato soup stain on it. Just kidding. But anyway, Jim Hogue, this dude looked like he was out of GQ. You had to see him to believe him. Every day. I was a copy boy at the Chicago Daily News, and he was the boss of the Sun-Times of the Day. I'm like, God dang, this guy looks like Robert Redford. This is before Brad Pitt, ladies. Robert Redford. People now, baby, who's Robert Redford? Millennials. Anyway, went on a tangent there. Sun-Times editor Jim Hogue got a tip that the story was dubious. Mr. Riley Hogue and a Sun-Times photographer toured the apartment at 2337 West Monroe Street. They should make that a landmark, by the way. 2337 West Monroe Street to examine the scene where Clark and Hampton were killed in their beds in the December 4th, 1969 pre-dawn raid led by the Cook County State's Attorney's Police. The investigation led to a front-page story in the Sun-Times that ran under the headline, quote, "Those bullet holes aren't." In it, Mr. Riley wrote, nail heads and not bullet holes were shown in a police picture of a West Side flat where 2 Black Panthers were fatally shot by police. The Cook County State's Attorney's Office acknowledged Thursday. Wow. Nail heads and not bullet holes were shown in a police picture of a West Side flat where 2 Black Panthers were fatally shot by the police, the state's attorneys announced Thursday. It was one of the biggest stories in the country, but Mr. Riley said he was just doing his job. Quote, Hogue went to the city editor and said, who's free? Riley said, and I wasn't doing anything. God bless him. Just a working stiff reporter. Oh, good. Okay, I'll go out and look at the nail heads. Yeah, those are nails, not bullet holes. And Tribune's like, huh? Well, they look like bullet holes to me. Anyway, rest in peace, Jim Riley. I didn't know the guy, but he played his small but important role in that story. And I urge everybody to check out the Flint Taylor interview we did, D, which is one of my, well, I shouldn't say it's one of my favorite because I love them all, but what a great interview. Flint Taylor was the lawyer who went to court for Fred Hampton's, this was his wife, I guess, and his family to get some kind of restitution for just being killed. I would say in cold blood, but they drugged him. That's part of the story. He was drugged. FBI informant drugged him, so there was no resistance. I mean, it's just a terrible chapter in Chicago. Anyway, I urge everybody to check out that Flint Taylor interview. And he talks about this, as I recall, he talks about that the moment when the Sun-Times revealed that, oh, those aren't bullet holes. In other words, there weren't bullets coming out of the apartment. There were only bullets going into the apartment. And the Chicagoans are like, well, I don't know. I read it in the Tribune. Must be true if I read it in the Tribune. Anyway, if you want to know why, after all these years, I still have that lingering just disdain for the Tribune. It's not the new Tribune, which I think does a pretty good job by and large of covering the news. It's not the new Tribune. They got a lot of cool young reporters.
And they got that back page columnist guy, your buddy.
Oh, Johnny Cass? Come on, man. I love A Boy Named Sue. One of my favorite songs. Don't you ever say anything bad about A Boy Named Sue.
Guys, go check out our Flint Taylor episode. And guys, there's over 700 episodes of the Ben Joravsky Show, all right? Have you listened to all of them? That's your challenge for the weekend. Listen to every single Ben Joravsky show ever made. Over 700 episodes available at chicagoreader.com and wherever else you download your favorite podcast. Go subscribe if you've yet to, and get daily podcasts from the Ben Joravsky Show. All right, we're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, our good friend, Monroe Anderson, I'm sure he has a lot to discuss with us this afternoon about the election. It's the Ben Joravsky Show. We are live from my apartment, the Brown Line, and in Ben's attic.
Try not to rock the boat. Don't wanna give you all false hope. That's the story from the editorial board. The candidate most likable is somehow not electable. That's the story from the editorial board. We'd like to save the world when it's under attack, but how you gonna pay for that? Ow!
Let it prick. Let it prick.
When people want proof that the world ain't flat, we'll just give them their money back. Oh yeah!
Don't believe me? Well, consider these facts.
We heard what you wanna do. Now we'll tell you what's best for you. That's the story from the editorial board.
I want an answer.
A little tip for the working man. Your employers are all our friends. That's the story from the editorial board. That's the story from the editorial board. We'd like to save the world when it's under attack, but how you gonna pay for that? Ow!
Let it prick. Let it prick.
When people want proof that the world ain't flat, we'll just give them their money back. Oh yeah!
Don't believe me? Well, consider these facts.
That's the story from the editorial board. That's the story from the editorial board. That's the story from the editorial board. That's the story from the editorial board.
I want an answer. It's not something you ignore.
I think you're 100% full of shit, is what I think.
Read the Chicago Reader to get up to speed on what's what in Chicago. Culture, food, arts and entertainment, weekly concert listings, weekly event listings, the environment, travel. I can continue, but you get the point. And for all of you Chicago political junkies, raw weekly columns on real city politics from Maya Dukmasova and our very own Ben Joravsky. The Chicago Reader, free to the public in newsstands throughout the city and online at chicagoreader.com. Read it now and be a more informed Chicagoan.
Hour number 2 of your Ben Joravsky Show is brought to you by the Chicago Reader and the Chicago Federation of Labor. Benny J, take it away.
It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. Monroe Anderson has just finished his Tai Chi. He's had a little tea. No more cannabis from Monroe. That faded in the 80s. But, well, maybe not so faded. But anyway, he's sitting back. He's ready to talk. And Monroe has a lot to talk about. I'm going to read your your Facebook post, Monroe. Give a sense of what's on your mind. Did you know that Trump, who is in debt somewhere between $400 million and $1 billion and will soon be a disgruntled former employee, fits the profile of a national security risk? Should the intelligence community keep the lame duck president under constant surveillance? Once he is out of office, should his passport be revoked to keep him from skipping our country to Russia or Saudi Arabia? By the way, are you surprised that the sore winner this is funny, that the sore winner is now a sore loser? Ben and I will be discussing this and much, much more on the show. Yes, indeed, Monroe Anderson. We will be discussing that and much, much more. Before we do get into those topics, though, I need you to go back in time to Saturday. What were you doing at that moment? For 4 years, Monroe Anderson has been predicting this moment would come when Donald Trump would be ousted by the voters of the United States of America. So Monroe, when word broke at about 10:30 Saturday morning that Joe Biden had won Pennsylvania, thus putting him over 270, what were you doing and what was your reaction? Go.
I was preparing for my Tai Chi class. So I was fixing coffee or something. I don't remember. I knew it was inevitable. I knew that he had won, and that I didn't know which state would come through first, but it was looking like Pennsylvania. See, I think we discussed this last week, but to go over it again, the Democrats ask all their people, because of the virus and because because they wanted to bank as many votes as possible, they asked their people to vote by mail, an absentee ballot, whereas Trump wanted to prove that his people were so crazy about him that they'd risk dying in a pandemic that they show up on the day of the election, November 3rd. Also, he wanted to have a lot of votes there because those would be the first votes counted. So he wanted all their votes there so he could claim victory before the ballots came in on everybody else. Didn't work out as well as he thought. He tried, but it didn't work out for him.
Well, I wouldn't put that in the past tense. He's still trying. He's still contending that in Pennsylvania, the vote count should stop at whatever it was at midnight, like, Cinderella at the ball.
Yeah, right. But no, this is, he doesn't have an Ice Cube's chance in hell of winning this election. And he knows, his people know it, and he's beginning to realize it. But what they're doing now is they're saying that they were cheated. Mm-hmm. They're sending out these emails. I'm getting a dozen a day asking for money to fund the legal fees they're going to have to knock off the Democrats and the cheaters and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But because this is Trump, in reality, what they're doing is Trump is hitting up his stupid supporters to give him some money so that he can pay off campaign debts because they're broke, and B, so that he can have some rallies between now and January 20th. Where you can and get some more adulation.
Well, it's funny you should mention that. I don't know if I said this to you, but I was talking to your lovely wife, Joyce, before you came on the phone. Yeah. And I was telling her about how I had this nightmare, literally a nightmare. I woke up this morning. I talked about it already in the show. And I think what prompted it was a nightmare about a Trump rally. Like Trump would bring back those MAGA rallies with everybody with their MAGA hats sneezing on each other without the masks, and now I'm doing it to try to ignite opposition to declaring Joe Biden the winner. And I think you're right, Monroe. I think he probably will go back to having rallies as just to sort of undermine any notion that he lost. And I'm telling you, I've never ever remembered a losing presidential candidate having a rally after he's lost.
Right, exactly. No, but he needs the adulation. He needs to feel important. I mean, he is so cuckoo in the head that it's just incredible. So he needs the adulation. He needs the money that they will be making contributions to him. And another thing that he may be having going on is he wants to have his own TV station, network, his own network, so that again he can be a player and he can be of some importance. And so he's trying to do that. Yeah, he's weighing in a lot of things, but the worst thing for him is that he is a loser.
All right.
No ifs, ands, buts about it. He is a loser. He has lost. He is the first sitting president that's lost by the amount of votes that he has. You know, Biden has almost 5 million votes more than Trump right now, popular vote, since FDR became president and beat Woodrow Wilson.
No, Herbert Hoover. Herbert Hoover.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I got Wilson and Hoover mixed up.
Yeah. So, all right. Couple things to clear up before we get to the issue of this security risk.
Yeah.
Number one, let's talk about the vote itself. That went down. And I'm going to divide it into two categories. We'll start with the white vote. Yeah. And as I've told Monroe, whether he realizes or not, he's one of the foremost authorities on white people. In fact, I think he has a PhD in white peopleology from the state of Indiana. And as such, I turn to Monroe for explanations.
White studies PhD. I've been studying white people since 1965.
Yes.
And they continue to disappoint me.
So, yeah, for the first years of his life, they didn't have a white peopleology course in Gary, Indiana. Shame on you, Gary Public Schools. They're only black people. So he was an early student of black peopleology.
I think I've told you this before, but I only had 2 white school teachers during my entire public school education in Gary, Indiana. One in the 3rd grade and one in the 10th grade.
That's amazing.
Right.
That really is just... in contrast, I just think about the segregation of America, roughly the same age as Monroe, never had a black teacher until 6th grade. And I think that was it. Oh my God. I don't know. I had a black 6th grade teacher and a black gym teacher. God. Isn't that amazing, Monroe, how segregated, separated America is?
Exactly.
I'm in Evanston, Illinois, and in Rhode Island before that, and Monroe's in Gary, Indiana. All right, so let's go to...
no black teachers at Indiana University during my 5 years there. None.
Wow. Wait, you were there for 5 years? Did you do one of those victory laps? You know, you liked it so much. I think I'll stick around another year.
No. See, since you aren't my age completely, you wouldn't know that there was a war going on.
Yes.
And when you graduated, you went to it. And so there was no incentive for me to graduate until I got a high draft number. Draft number where I didn't have to worry about going to the war.
By the way, as long as I'm promoting old interviews, interview I did with Charles Ellison, who was Monroe's dear friend in college, who did go to the war. It's Veterans Day today, and I just urge everybody to check. It's one of my favorite interviews I've ever done. Charles Ellison, musician, dear friend of Monroe, and Vietnam vet, And his reminiscence about the Vietnam War are really compelling and very moving. All right, so let's get back to that white people vote and your years of experience studying white people. Yes. We have a lunatic as a president who looks the other way in the face of COVID. No, goes one step beyond that. Encourages people to defy everything that doctors tell them to do. Right. Gather in large groups in small spaces without masks and cough at each other. Okay, right. That was Donald Trump's response to COVID. 48% of America, over 50%, close to 60% of white people voted for him. Monroe, please explain white people to me. Go ahead.
In a word, racism. Trump is a white supremacist. And they like what he says. They like what he's doing. Now, that's not every white person who voted for Trump, but it's the vast majority. That's it in a nutshell. All the other stuff doesn't matter. You know, they try and talk about, well, the stock market is up and their IRAs are doing well because of the stock market. Only half of the country has anything to do with the stock market whatsoever. So that doesn't explain. That's sort of like Hillary's. Half of Trump supporters are deplorables. You know, half of them are stockholders. The other half are doing it for some other reason. So there's no other. Okay. Let's think about this for a second. Mm-hmm. The man has been impeached. We have a pandemic going on with a 250,000 Americans dead because of his incompetence in dealing with it. We have the greatest amount of unemployment since the Great Depression. We have him, let's see what else, lying 100 times a day or something. Mm-hmm. Why? I mean, what other reason besides they want the white supremacists in there would they vote for him? I mean, there's no other logical reason.
Well, I don't know if this fits the confines of a logical reason, but if you're a really well-to-do white person, it's sort of like Ice Cube or 50 Cent. You love the tax break. So, you know, I don't know if that fits the confines of logic, because you're fabulously wealthy anyway. Right. So, you know, it's like not even logical there. So you voted for your tax break.
I have rich neighbors, and I know some rich people. I mean, really rich people. Mm-hmm. And it gets to be like a sport or basketball game or something to them. Mm-hmm. It's not that they need the money, but their self-worth becomes the money in the sense of there's a pecking order. You know, if you're a mere multimillionaire, then you aren't nearly as important or successful or anything as if you're a billionaire. And if you're a multi-billionaire, so it becomes a game of seeing how much money you can make just to keep score.
Mm. Well, as long as you raise that, let me give you a little trivia challenge here. I happen to have this right in front of me. Okay. You live in the Lincoln Park area. You've lived there for many, many years. You've watched that neighborhood transform itself. And over the years, the 43rd Ward.
Yes.
What, in your estimation, your guess, what percentage of the vote did Donald John Trump get this last go around in the 43rd Ward, your home ward? What's your guess?
Yes, I haven't checked that, so
that's why it's a guess.
Right, exactly. I'd say 35%.
Is that your final guess?
Yes, that's my final guess.
Well, you sadly underestimated the decency of your fellow residents in the 43rd Ward. The last I looked, which was yesterday, and they're still, tabulating some mail-ins, 18%. 18%. That's what he got. So that means Biden got upwards of 80%. Some people voted third party. And that's up from what Donald Trump got there the last time. Last time he got 16%. So, it wasn't as bad as you thought.
They are lakefront liberals.
Not really. They didn't vote for Kim Fox. That's a whole other thing. Shame on 43rd Ward residents. It was neck and neck. Kim Fox barely beat Pat O'Brien in the 43rd Ward. Somehow, this is the point I made in the article I just did, Monroe, about this. I say, I'm trying to be nice to quote unquote lakefront liberals who haven't really been liberal in years. They didn't go full MAGA. What they said was say, you know what? We're going to blame Kim Fox. We're going to find a black woman that we can blame for everything that we don't like about America today, but we're not going to go full MAGA and vote for Donald Trump. So,
there's this website that I belong to, Sheffield Neighbors Association, your neighbors or something like that, where you can join and it becomes a part of the neighborhood, and people comment on it all the time. It's old furniture for sale, or looking for an apartment, or it's just stuff that they talk about, chat on the internet. And they are forever concerned with crime. And they are, and because there aren't many black people in Lincoln Park, they feel as if they're chatting amongst themselves. They talk about how they saw this person in the neighborhood who didn't belong there, and then it just happened to be a black person, and they talk about the crime and how they need to. Kim Fox is too unlaw and order like to their liking. That they, at one point they were talking about how she was letting the pickpockets and the looters and the this and the that go free, and I posted just because I like to do this sort of thing. That's what we need, more black men in Cook County jail. There was no response to my...
No response, yeah. They're going to kick you out of that. They're going to kick you out of the neighborhood and the association. Keep that up. All right. So you just gave me your expert analysis as a student of white peopleology. Now let's talk about the black vote.
Okay.
By my analysis, and I did the number crunching over the weekend, 95% of black voters in Chicago voted for Joe Biden.
Yeah.
I believe it's the same from what I've looked at from afar in terms of black voters in Milwaukee, Detroit, Philly. And so I credit black voters for putting Biden over the top in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Detroit, and Pennsylvania. That's my analysis. And probably Georgia. Ultimately, it'll be voters in Atlanta that give Biden.
Biden's going to win Georgia.
All right. So your thoughts on the black vote in this election?
They were hoodwinked by Putin 4 years ago. They put millions and millions of fake news articles on Facebook targeting black voters to dislike Hillary. And so black voters didn't show up in those very cities that you just named, Milwaukee, Detroit, Philly. They did not show up. Their numbers, they didn't go, they just stayed home. They sat it out. And so Hillary lost by 77,000 votes, whereas 1.4 million blacks didn't vote in those three states. Just who had voted in 2012 just did not vote. Then they got the white supremacists in the White House. And they went, oh, shit. What did I do? What didn't I do? I'm going to correct this right now.
Yeah.
They sit out in line, or they got their votes in, or whatever.
Yeah. So, in other words, the old Ice Cube and 50 Cent for Donald Trump didn't really work too well.
Right, exactly. Yeah, right. Now, the problem with Ice Cube and 50 Cent and Kanye trying to be the leader of the black voters is they've never been involved before.
Mm.
You know, they one day they just show up and say, "Okay, I'll vote for Trump. Follow me." You know,
Yeah.
supposed to go, what? Doesn't work that way. You got to have a record.
Yeah, you have to have a record. You have to have been there for a little bit. But no,
If King James said vote for somebody, they pay attention because he's been, he has a record of doing things for the black community.
yeah. I have to say that when I saw that the outstanding vote in Pennsylvania was in Philadelphia, I was like, oh, sorry, Donnie, it's over.
Right.
It's just a matter of counting it. And that's the thing. I mean, you talk about a white supremacist attitude. Donald Trump, and we may have talked about this, Monroe, definitely talked about it privately. Donald Trump was sending a message early on when the campaign was going. When he talked about Pennsylvania, he talked about Philadelphia corruption. Philadelphia.
He talked about Baltimore, remember?
Yes.
And he had talked about Chicago. Michael Cohen said that they were in Chicago one time. They were driving through the South Side, and Trump wondered aloud how people could live like this. And he just had in fact, well, the truth is, and his stupid voter supporters don't realize this, but he has the same contempt for poor white people.
Yeah.
But he sweet talks them when they whispers sweet nothings in their ears, tells them how beautiful they are, etc. When he wants a favor from them.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
So, all right, well, that was the election. Donald Trump is still resisting, but I agree with you, Monroe. I think Biden will prevail, whether Trump acknowledges it or not, whether Donald Trump participates in the inauguration or not, whether Donald Trump does that scene where they welcome the incoming presidential, like Obama's did with Trump, like the Bushes did with Obama, like Daddy Bush did with Billy Clinton. I can remember all these transitions, like Carter did with Reagan, all those transitions, whether Donald Trump does that or not.
He's not going to do it. Not going to do it. Not going to do it.
Wow.
It's not. I don't know if I mentioned this on your podcast or not, but they have this tradition of the unveiling of the portrait, former president, the official portrait, and that's not happening with Trump and Obama.
Oh, in other words, where Donald Trump's portrait is unveiled? Is that what you're saying?
No, when Obama's portrait was supposed to be unveiled in a ceremony this year, and Trump won't do it. He took a pass on it.
I'm not surprised. All right, what's this that you're talking about? Donald Trump as a security threat. Go ahead, take it away.
Okay. Trump is will be a disgruntled former employee. He owes a lot of money. He's given away state secrets as president just because he's indiscreet and he likes to brag. So he's given away some state secrets that way. The intelligence agencies, CIA and FBI, are very fearful that once he's no longer president, foreign nations can either pay off some of his debts and make him dance that way, give out the information, or because he loves Putin and the Saudis, he might just do it, give it away for free. But and the other thing is he's not really discreet about what's actually top secret and what's not top secret. And so that's how he's given away some information as president, reveal some secrets. And so they're worried about that, and they're discussing on the down low whether they should just have him under surveillance all the time. And I think that they won't be able to let him leave the country because he can just take up residence in Moscow.
Well, if he wants to move to Moscow, I got no problem with that. I will say this. The lefty libertarian in me loves it when secrets are unveiled. I like to know what my government is up to. Not just on the national level, on the local level, state level. So if Donald Trump wants to spill the beans.
No, he's not going to spill it back. He's going to tell.
Somebody else. So it can be used to sabotage. I get it.
Putin, who's not going to tell us.
Yeah, okay.
He's going to use it against us. I mean, when I'm talking about top secret stuff, I mean, the things we use to spy on other countries, and that the countries that are spying on us would love to know, but we're blocking them from knowing it.
Yeah.
I'm talking about state secrets for our security, literally our national security.
Well, I again, I'm the lefty, and I'm always a little dubious about any state secret, but I personally have not seen any evidence that Donald Trump has been a great champion of liberalizing the national security state in any way. Our defense budget keeps soaring year after year, the amount of money we spend on it. So I do not think in any way Donald Trump has been a champion of sort of like the...
Okay, this is the silver lining in this, is that for the most part, he wasn't interested in the details of these security briefings he got every day. In fact, a lot of days he didn't get them. Some days he never read them, literally never read them. You know, Obama used to, his late night homework was reading the presidential report on what was going on in the world. With Trump, if it wasn't pictures, I'm not joking. I mean, It had to be visuals. He has the attention span of a 4-year-old.
Yeah, by the way, that was so evident with the bleach. It wasn't a national security thing, but back to COVID, when Donald Trump was doing that press conference and he went on that riff about how, maybe we tried bleach. And I knew it. I said this to you at the time, Monroe. He was half listening to something that he was being told by his COVID advisors. And I don't know what part of what they said had to do with bleach, but the word bleach probably came up, and it got lodged in his brain somewhere.
Or it could have been, or somebody, one of the kooks on Fox could have mentioned it.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, he could have, because he gets a lot of misinformation from Fox, also.
Anyway, so it's a similar thing. All right. You also mentioned, you said this to me before the show, and since I don't watch cable TV, this was news to me, that Donald Trump's niece is going around saying that there should be a suicide watch. I'm a little dubious about that, Monroe. He just doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would end it all. But Mary Trump is putting out a different theory.
She said it once. She hasn't been repeating it a lot, but no. Okay, first of all, you have to factor in that besides being his niece, she is a shrink.
Yeah, that's true.
This is how she makes her living. Mm-hmm. And so she gave us a professional explanation on why he do it. It's like he's basically he's not man enough to live up to being a loser. He can't take it, and so because his whole psychological well-being is all about him being a winner ahead of everybody else and everything. And so
I think she
thinks that he may well do it.
Well, I have a feeling she should
horrible, unless and he won't do this more than likely. But if he left a suicide note saying that my country let me down, my supporters let me down, everybody let me down, everybody's picking on me, I can't take it anymore, so see ya. I don't want to be you. Now, if he left a suicide note like that, it would be okay. Lie down. No. Good riddance to bad rubbish. No. But if he just killed himself, then he would become a martyr. All the Trump nuts would be claiming that the CIA or the service or the deep state or Barack Obama or somebody killed him. Somebody killed him and made it look like a suicide. And that wouldn't be good.
No, that wouldn't be good. I don't think it's going to happen either way. I think she's kind of teasing and taunting him. All right, let's close it with this. I told you I would raise this with you. The little history lesson. I already talked about it once. I urge everybody to check out Maureen O'Donnell's obituary. Love to get your thoughts on this, Monroe. Maureen O'Donnell, a great obituary writer for the Chicago Sun-Times. I'm a big fan of hers, as everybody knows. And she wrote an obituary to a gentleman that I did not know, Joseph Riley, 81 years old, Chicago Sun-Times staffer. And he was the one who, quote, debunked the bullet holes photo in the slayings of Black Panther Party. Riley was a general assignment reporter for my beloved Bright One back in 1969. And I just got to read this to you. This is after the police killed Fred Hampton and Mark Clark in their apartment on the West Side, near West Side. And here, quote, I'm reading this obituary. After the Chicago Tribune printed police photo purporting to show the bullet holes in the raid, Sun-Times editor Jim Hogue got a tip that the story was dubious. Joe Riley, Hogue, and a Sun-Times photographer toured the apartment at 2337 West Monroe to examine the scene where Clark and Hampton were killed in their beds in the December 4th, 1969 pre-dawn raid led by the Cook County State's Attorney Police. The investigation led to a front-page story in the Sun-Times that ran under the headlines, quote, "Those bullet holes aren't." Turns out the bullet holes were nail heads.
Yes.
Monroe, the Chicago Tribune. Damn you, Chicago Tribune.
Right. They were rusty nail heads.
Rusty nail. They put those freaking nail heads on their paper to stir up white people. Look at these are bullet holes. They were shooting at the police.
Right. No, and the guy who did that, what was his name? The columnist Riker.
By the way, it went beyond him. I say it was the whole freaking management of the Tribune. That, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? It is a little,
an editor's meeting, no, but he was in the meeting. Tell him about it. Because he also became the Tribune's Patty Hearst specialist. He was all on the West Coast, on that, all over that.
Yeah.
But that was, that was the way that they were. Period. Yeah, what can I say? I mean, sometimes they're a little better than at other times.
And you showed up there not too long thereafter.
Right. No,
it was the same regime that thought nail heads were bullet holes.
Right. Exactly.
Now, let me ask you this. In your humble opinion, without naming any names of Tribune people who are probably long since gone, the editors, the bosses within that establishment, do you think they knew? Do you think they legitimately thought those were bullet holes? Or do you think they just said, the hell with it, one way or the other, to confuse nail heads for bullet holes? What do you think? Was it intentional?
No, I don't think it was intentional. I don't think. I think it's one of these situations. I mean, it's like with where you want to believe something, and so you just take it at face value. So the Chicago police told them that it was bullet holes, and so they just took it. And and if the photographer didn't take close up pictures of it, so they just saw these dark spots in the wall, and they looked at it and said, "Oh, this is where they were shooting back, trying to kill our good police officers, breaking law and order."
Yeah. Meanwhile, Fred Hampton had been drugged. He'd been drugged by an FBI informant, so he was out of it. He wasn't doing anything but sleeping.
Right, exactly. And and he was 21 years old, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And but in the trial of the Chicago 7, he was very valuable.
Yeah, that's made up, by the way. We'll hold off on that discussion.
That's what I said. In the movie, he was very valuable.
Yeah, he was valuable in the movie. Like they just, they don't get me started on the Chicago 7. The whole way they used Fred Hampton, like Fred Hampton was Bobby Seale's mentor. You know what I'm saying? Like, really the other way around, but just the whole.
And the reality is that the Black Panthers, Bobby wasn't even considered that important. They thought the other Black Panthers who were thugs and gangsters and serious killers thought that Bobby Seale was a wimp and a clown. They didn't take him seriously. According to Elaine, she's the first woman to become the Black Panthers, and she wrote a book.
Elaine Brown.
Right, exactly. Courtney, did you read her book?
Yes, many years ago.
Yeah, same here. Right, but she didn't speak that highly of Bobby. He's likable, but Eldridge Cleaver was a serious gangster and rapist. Huey B. Newton was a serious gangster and a drug addict, I guess. But anyway, they didn't take Bobby that serious. It's like, oh, Bobby's our mouthpiece. He'll do that part.
Well, none of that is talked about in the movie at Chicago 7. But the way they use. All right, Monroe. Get declared the winner. This counterpunch from Donald Trump will probably still be going on next Wednesday when you come here. So I have a feeling we'll be talking about more of Donald Trump's attempts to undo the election next week. Don't you agree on that?
He's not trying to undo the election anymore. He's just being a spoiled brat. It's like, I'll take my ball and go home.
Go home and take the country with me.
Exactly. It's like, okay, bye.
All right, Monroe, stay safe, stay sound. We'll talk to you next Wednesday, all right?
All right, okay.
That's the legendary Monroe Anderson. Dr. G, any updates for us?
That man is too giddy right now.
He's happy. Biden's declared the victor. I got a feeling, though, we'll still be talking about Donald Trump next week.
Now, we do have breaking news.
Oh, ouch.
For what it's worth, Donald Trump won Alaska.
Oh, wow. They finished the vote in Alaska?
Yeah, for what it's worth. Donald Trump won Alaska.
Yeah. Well, he was ahead. It was, they figured he was going to win it. Hey, if I were Biden, I'd ask for a recount. Hey, Joe, if you're going to be like Donald, I don't believe it. Vote fraud.
Play the radio. Do a recount.
Did Al Gross win the Senate race, or doesn't say?
I don't know.
No, sorry, man. But I love the Alaskan guys. They're like, they're kind of chill about it. Yeah, we counted a couple votes. Let's go fishing. All right. We'll count some more tomorrow.
So there you go. It is official. Ivanka Trump tweeted it. It's official. Donald Trump has won Alaska. Like I said, for what it's worth.
That is so wild that she would bother tweeting it. She's part of the resistance too.
All right, more breaking news. Oh, my.
Wow, it's a lot of breaking news today.
The following comes from the Chicago Sun-Times and Rachel Hinton. Governor J.B. Pritzker said today that he's, quote, disappointed lawmakers decided to postpone their upcoming veto session and warned that some serious and frankly painful cuts are coming to address the state's fiscal problems. We talked a little bit about this in the first hour, but we have some more updates and some more quotes here. Shout out once again to the Chicago Sun-Times and Rachel Hinton. This comes from J.B. Pritzker. Pritzker said, quote, we've trimmed across the executive branch throughout the last 2 years, and there's more to be done than just trimming. Now we're going to have to make some serious and frankly painful cuts. Those aren't changes that I can do alone. The legislature has to be right there with us. Pritzker said he's already called for a meeting of House and Senate leadership because there's, quote, so much work that needs to be done on the budget and other areas like criminal justice reform. So Governor J.B. Pritzker disappointed, proving yet again, boy, this guy's got a case of the grumpies.
The enemy is you.
Oh, you're not talking about me, are you?
Yes, he is. One of the things that when I was listening to you say that, Dee, also keep in mind that J.B. Pritzker, was a couple days ago, was one of the people who jumped aboard the Madigan Must Go train. Remember that?
It's a bus, and yes, he's on it.
Yeah, bus. My bad. And sorry, Vilma, for undoing the effective sound bit that you put together.
It's all me, guys. All me. By the way,
there we go.
You want to jump on that bus or what, bud? Come on.
There we go. I want to thank Dennis and Vilma. Vilma helped out.
No person named Vilma.
Imaginary sound editor, Vilma. But anyway, JB, was on the bus. Durbin's on the bus. Tammy Duckworth's on the bus. So, Dee, just listen to what you were saying. Got a feeling that JB further distancing himself from the legislator is really further distancing himself from Michael Joseph Madigan, trying to set them up as the fall guys. I do not understand why they can't figure out a way to meet virtually. I know that that was Pat Whalen sent us that breaking news text message, which I'll have to look into. He apparently changed his phone number. Nobody tells me anything, okay? I'm the last to know everything. So we'll look into that one. But I got a feeling, Dee, that what we're seeing here is a little distancing. J.B. Pritzker distancing. Just when you said that thing, when he was critical to the legislator, go, oh, J.B., I see what you're doing, young man. See what you're doing. Okay? He's taking a page from Lori Lightfoot's book. Remember Lori Lightfoot when she got at her inauguration? She denounced aldermanic prerogative, immediately distanced herself from the Chicago City Council while she used her powers as mayor to make sure that all her allies were appointed to the key committee positions. She's shrewd. She's no dummy, that mayor.
And we got that update. Apparently you can't do a Zoom meeting, veto session via Zoom. Ben's still looking into that. But if that were the case, very interesting choice of words here from Pritzker. Disappointed that these people can't, over 100 people can't gather together right next to each other and have, of all people, to be disappointed. J.B. Pritzker, you know what I mean? Like he's kind of a stickler on these mitigations, right?
I got to look into that rule. But I'm really struggling with that one. Like, why? There's so many preposterous things and inexplicable things about the way we do handle our business in the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago. I have a hard time believing that they can't do a virtual legislative meeting. Sorry. Not really believing that they can't do a virtual legislative. Ben, here it says, like, you got to be in the same room sneezing on each other. I don't believe that.
Well, with all the corruption going around, maybe they're like, all right, we need to see your hands and where they are at all times during this meeting. You can't be doing this Zoom thing. Who knows what you're doing in this Zoom meeting?
Now, City Council has Zoom meetings. Supreme Court has Zoom meetings. Right? So, come on, legislators. I don't know. Maddox, nope, I won't do it. I don't like Zoom. I'm with you, Michael. How about Google Meet? try that out. You may like that.
Google Meet, you are so welcome for the plugs that we're giving you here.
Yeah, come on, Google Meet. Kick it a little bit for the
Not only do we plug Google Meet, we trash Zoom. Oh, they should love us. They would love us.
Yeah. Come on, Google Meet.
That's our show for today, guys. Make sure to follow us online at Benny J Show, BENNY, the letter J Show, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can always send us an email, bennyjshow@gmail.com. Leave your name and where you're from if you'd like us to read your message on the air. And you can leave us a voicemail. I encourage all of you listening to leave us a voicemail, 708-658-4788. That number again, 708-658-4788. We would love to hear from you.
I want to thank Monroe Anderson, an outstanding job as always. And of course, the man, the myth, the legend, the pride and joy of Alton, Illinois, without whom the show would be possible. And as Monroe and Pat Whalen will tell you, back home in Alton, they call him Dr. Doobie. Give yourself a raise, take it out of petty cash. See you tomorrow, everyone.
Don't believe me? Well, consider these facts. The enemy is you.